Hey, I'm back again, Jeff here. So, decided to break up some of these videos for the recent stuff that I had, just so it wasn't too long. Plus, topically, divided this up some. So, what we're going to talk about at this point is the recent stuff, used material for the most part, that I purchased at the record store locally. So, over the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, the record store was running a 20% off everything used, 30% off if you're a first responder or anything medical. Military, blah blah blah. Memorial Day, So, I decided to go take advantage of it. I knew I could get at least 20% off. My wife is a medical person, professional, so would they extend that courtesy to me if I drug her in there with me? She goes in there often. But anyway, went in there and decided I'm just going to buy some used stuff, see what they got. Picked up a few things, ended up putting it down. You know how you go to the store and you're like, yeah, I want this, I want this. Oh, wait a minute, I want this better. And anyway, so, and then a lot of it comes down to price. They had a copy of, they had some stuff that had just come in recently, and they had like a Metallic album, but they wanted $24 for it. And it was used. It was a double vinyl. It was Reload. I thought it'd be nice to have on vinyl, but I ended up putting it down to go for a few more lower priced items. Didn't want to blow it all on one album. So I went over and was flipping and just looking. At first I picked up a couple more Deep Purple things because, again, I had bought some the previous week when I was there. I thought, well, maybe I beefed my collection a little bit more. But even those were a little more costly. So I kept moving along, and then I thought, so what I ended up settling on next to Deep Purple was Bob Dylan. Now, I admit, never been a huge fan of Bob Dylan's, but I was totally aware back in the 80s, as listening to a lot of Christian music back then, everybody's like, look, Bob Dylan put out a couple Christian albums back in the day. This was one of them, Saved. So I see it quite often, and I'm like, I should get it, but then I don't. It's expensive, blah, blah. Well, this was like $8, and then you take off 30%. So I thought it'd be worth it, and it was in really, really good condition. That's what I was most impressed with. I was like, wow, it's like, did they even play this? Cover and everything, really great. So I went ahead and grabbed this one, and then right next to it was the other one, Slow Train Come In, which is the other, came before that, I guess. More religious sounding release. The thing nice about this one, it is a gold stamp promo. With the white promotional label. So, and again, amazing condition. So I picked these two up and have been enjoying them. Listened to them this week, and it is some good stuff. I've heard some of these songs. I have some of the songs digitally over the years. People have shared them with me, but it is nice to have them actually in their full glory. So then I walked around to the other side, and I started flipping through C's. I was looking at Alice Cooper and all of that stuff, and I just happened to glance out of the C's, and right in the front of the B's next to me was Brittany Fox. And I'm like, okay, 80s metal, my jam. This was one of those bands I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to back in the day. This was during that phase of my life in the late 80s where I was focused mainly on Christian rock and metal, and so this band I was like, yeah, whatever. It came and go. There was a lot of bands in the late 80s that I just kind of blanked on, wasn't paying attention to. I was listening to Paradox and all these other bands, as I mentioned in my other video. The thing about this was, it was like a little more than $10, and I thought, oh, well, what the heck? But then I checked it, pulled it out of the sleeve, and found out it was still in the shrink wrap. I know I took it out because I have played it, but it was brand new. And then at the record place, they have a letter, the price tag on there, and then on there you can see there's always a date that tells you when it got into the inventory. This has been sitting there in the shrink wrap. There was just a little tear on the back of the shrink wrap, still brand new in the shrink wrap, had been sitting there since 2018. So, 2 years, nobody ever picked it up. I looked it up real quick on Discogs and found that, it was worth, unopened, would have been worth, I've seen people are selling it for like $70, $50, $50 to $70 in that case, but I'm not going to sell it. So I went in and grabbed it. I figured with 30%, no, there was no 30% off of this one. This was the only one I had to pay full price because it was open. So anyway, scored me some 80s metal. But anyway, so then I moved on down from C to B, and I scrolled down to the A's. I always get onto the A's. I'm always looking for anything that on this particular artist. Flipped through, didn't see anything in the normal position, and then kept flipping through the A's and found it out of the normal position. But I got me a copy of Viva La Rock by Adam Ant. Now, this was the only vinyl issue of Adam's that I didn't have. His other album that followed after this one, Wonderful, I don't think has ever been released on vinyl. And I think that's the only major release that I don't have a record of, a vinyl of. This was in really good condition. Now, they had this one, I think, a couple years ago. And I should have bought it, and I didn't, and I passed it up. And so I found this one. And now the thing that was odd about it, okay, Adam Ant, do you put him under Adam or do you put him under Ant? You say, well, not much of a difference, D and N. But I guess you've also got Adam and the Ants. And so anyway, I found Adam and the Ants early in the A's, A-D. I'm assuming they put this in the A-N because it was way near the back. I never usually go that far back in the A. So I'm glad I scrolled, found it. And so I grabbed it just to complete the collection. It's a great album. I'm a big Adam Ant fan. That's one of my my non-metal loves is Adam Ant. So anyway, I went ahead and grabbed those four, and I asked them, and my wife was there, hey, what do we got to do to prove that she's medical? She's like, just tell me. I'm like, okay, she's medical. Huh. So we got 30% off. So that was great. Saved a few bucks, got some great albums. Wanted to share them with you. Thanks for watching. I'll be back real soon. Later.